You ever have one of those days, or maybe one of those years, where life just feels totally random and chaotic? One minute everything's great, and the next it feels like the universe is just out to get you. Well, today we're going to look at a totally different way of seeing things. What if life isn't chaos at all? What if it's a game, a really complex but ultimately beautiful game that has a very specific set of rules? And the key to winning, or even just playing well, isn't about luck, it's about understanding how to play.
So let's just start with that big question, because honestly, it changes everything. What if every challenge, every win, every relationship, every setback, what if it was all part of a structured game? A game where you're not just some random piece on the board getting pushed around, but you're an active player. A player who can actually learn the rules, figure out the mechanics, and start making moves that shape your own outcome. Just think about that shift in power. You go from being a passenger to being the one flying the plane.
So what do we really mean by the game of life? Well, think of it as a mental model, a framework. It's a way of seeing your own life, not as something that just happens to you, but as a system. And this system has all the parts of a real game. It's got rules, the basic laws of cause and effect. It's got roles we can choose to play. Are you the hero of your story, the victim, the creator? It's got choices, thousands of them every single day, that all have consequences. And of course, it has objectives, the goals we set that define what winning actually looks like for us. Understanding this is step one.
And it's amazing how well this metaphor works, right? Life has these clear cause and effect rules, just like a game. Gravity is a rule. What goes around comes around. That's a rule. And we're constantly choosing our roles. Are you actively writing the next chapter, or do you feel like the story is just happening to you? We set goals, which are basically like leveling up, unlocking new skills. And here's a big one. Mistakes are not game overs. They're just lessons. They're feedback from the game telling you, hey, try a different strategy. And just like any good game, it's all about interacting with other players, and it's always full of surprises.
So here's our game plan for today. We've kind of touched on life, the ultimate game. Next, we're going to dig into the mechanics with the nested rules of reality. Then we'll look at our own part in playing your systemic role. Check out a super powerful strategy called the power of total acceptance, and then wrap it up with how to become a truly conscious player.
All right, let's jump into our first big concept, the nested rules. This is all about understanding the game board itself. I mean, before you can make any smart moves, you've got to understand the world you're playing in, right? You have to see the systems that control everything. This idea is the foundation for pretty much everything else we're going to talk about.
And the core idea here is actually really simple, and this analogy is just perfect. Life isn't just one big single system. It's a series of systems, nested one inside the other, exactly like those Russian Matryoshka dolls. You've got the tiny one in the middle, and it fits inside a bigger one, which fits inside a bigger one, all the way out to the largest doll that holds them all. Each doll is its own thing, but they're all completely connected. This is the key to understanding the structure of reality.
And this right here, this is the single most important rule of the entire game. The little doll has to fit inside the bigger one. It doesn't have a choice. So in life, that means every smaller system has to play by the rules of the larger system it's in. You can't just decide gravity doesn't apply to you. You can't just decide the laws of your country don't apply to you. And this fundamental rule, that the smaller has to respect the larger, this is the one we break all the time, usually without even knowing we're doing it.
So what are these nested systems? Let's break down the main four, going from the biggest doll to the smallest. So the biggest one is life itself. These are the non-negotiable laws of physics, nature, existence. Inside that, you have the state. The laws of your country, its economy, its social rules. Then inside that, you've got your family system, which has its own history and unwritten rules. And right there at the very center, the smallest but maybe the most important doll is you, the player. And even you are a system with your own internal stuff going on, your body, your mind, your spirit.
And here's the kicker. Just like in the real world, you can't just say, oh, I didn't know. Not knowing the rules of a system doesn't mean you get a free pass. If you break a law of the state, you face the consequences. If you ignore the laws of biology, a rule of the life system, and trash your health, your body is going to give you some serious consequences. The game always holds you accountable, whether you've read the rulebook or not.
Okay, so now we get the nested structure of the game board. Let's talk about our role in it. See, as players, every single move we make, every action we take in one system, it creates this ripple effect that goes through the whole game. Nothing we do happens in a vacuum. An action inside one doll is going to affect the others, both the bigger ones and the smaller ones. This is where you really see how everything is connected. Let's look at a really clear example, tax evasion. You can see the whole chain reaction here.
A player decides to break a rule in the system of the state. Okay, so the first, most obvious consequence hits their financial system. Fines, maybe their assets get frozen. But it doesn't stop there, does it? That financial mess now bleeds into the family system. It creates tons of stress, arguments, instability. And where does all that pressure end up? It lands right on the central system, you. And it shows up as actual physical illness from all that stress. One move, one broken rule, and it just cascades all the way down to your core.
And that brings us to the most important system of all, the one we usually forget about. The system of you. You're the main character in this game. You're not just some background NPC in someone else's story. And inside this you system, you've got your own critical parts. Your body, which is the avatar you play the game with, your mind, your knowledge, and your soul, your sense of purpose. We get this backward all the time. We pour all our energy into the outer systems, our job, our family, and we neglect the core. But if you focus on getting your own internal system right first, you unlock this huge amount of energy that you can then use to play better in all the other, bigger systems.
Okay, we've gone over the game board and the player. Now let's talk about what you might call the boss level strategy. This is the most powerful, and yeah, probably the hardest concept to really master. It's a mindset that lets you handle even the toughest parts of the game. It's the power of total acceptance.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it. Total acceptance is this deep, profound understanding that in the grand scheme of things, nothing is a mistake, nothing is random. Everything that happens, every person, every challenge, even the stuff that feels awful and imperfect, is there for a reason. It serves a purpose in the bigger system. It's a lesson you need to learn, a strength you need to build, or a sign that you need to change your path. It's a huge shift from fighting against reality to working with it.
Now, it's so important to understand that total acceptance is not the same thing as forgiveness. They're totally different. See, forgiveness usually comes from a place of judgment. It implies that something wrong happened, and now you have to pardon it. It keeps those labels of good and bad. But acceptance is just about acknowledging what is, without judging it at all. It's about seeing the purpose in a situation, even a painful one, so you can learn the lesson and move on without all that baggage of resentment.
So why is this so critical? Because if you don't achieve total acceptance, it's like failing to learn the mechanics of a level in a video game. And what happens when you don't learn the lesson the game is trying to teach you? The game just serves up the same challenge again and again and again. You keep running into the same kind of difficult boss, the same kind of frustrating relationship, the same roadblock in your career. It'll keep happening until you finally stop fighting it, accept it for what it is, learn from it, and level up. Total acceptance is the key that opens the door to the next stage of your game.
So, we've looked at the game board, our role as players, and this master strategy of total acceptance. And that brings us to the final and honestly, the most empowering part, how you go from being a passive piece on the board to a conscious player. Because when it all comes down to it, it's always your move.
At the end of the day, it's all about a choice. The game is happening with or without you. You can choose to be the main character, the one who learns the rules, makes deliberate moves, sets clear goals, and actually directs their own story. Or you can be a passive observer, just letting the game's currents and other players push you around, just reacting to stuff. That choice of what role you play, it's yours to make, every single day.
And why does this choice matter so much? Because playing consciously is how you stop just reacting to life and start creating your reality. It's how you unlock your full potential and discover strengths you didn't even know you had. And on a bigger level, you set an amazing example for the next generation, showing them how to play this game with skill and with grace. This isn't just about winning. This is the real path to finding genuine harmony, happiness, and a deep sense of purpose.
I just love this final quote because it is so empowering. While yeah, you have to follow the rules of the bigger systems like life and the state, inside your own system, the system of you get to be the game designer. You set your own goals. You define what winning means. You decide what kind of character you want to be. You have so much creative freedom on your own personal game board.
So, we'll leave you with this question. We've walked through the whole framework, the nested systems, the power of acceptance, and the fundamental choice that's in front of you. You've now seen a little bit of the rule book. The game board is all laid out. So, the only question left, and it's the most important one, is who will you choose to be in this incredible game of life?